Ya, tes. Oke guys, welcome Indonesia. Kali ini kita akan streaming apa ya? Kita streaming ini nih Indonesia.
Indonesia going for the normal strat that they've been doing so far in this tournament, right? With the Diggy Band, they really like going for those aggressive roamers for Dream to look for those crazy team fights. That's what Indonesia is built around. Crazy skirmishes all around the map to coin flip their lead back or to use their lead to get an even bigger one.
And talking about the aggressive playstyle, the Philippines have banned out very good heroes here that the Indonesians can use to snowball, but they're leaving out that signature Yu-Zhong. And in addition to that, they still have to be wary about the Kadita pick that can potentially come into the hands of Dream.
The final ban, the first phase for Indonesia. That's the special hero for special man. The pot up, Agent Zero, getting that Benedetta that's usually been banned here in ISF.
I think Indonesia don't really want to go up against it, but they don't really have a choice.
Saatnya Indonesia
so many other heroes in their arsenal.
Membalaskan dendam mereka, Indonesia. Oke.
It's between a rock and a hard place. Right here, with two heroes available to be picked up, are they going to start showing their dive potential, or are they going to go for something a bit more elusive? Maybe a mage in the mid lane to just try and fake out the members from the Philippines.
Well, usually for Indonesia, whenever the Valentina is left open, they do like to pick it up in the first phase. They can also go for something like a Beatrix, securing a solid gold laner for their team. But Hijime will get his signature heave onto his own hands, and that's the Yu-Zhong as well. The Yu-Zhong that's probably giving Team Philippines a bit of nightmares from that first time they met in the upper brackets. But the Leslie, a signature pick as well for Soriano in this tournament. And the Farsa, it's all just signature picks from everyone.
It's the combo, man. The sniper and the feather airstrike that the Philippines love using to get pickoffs from so far away. Right now, though, they are up against a Yu-Zhong. Very solid engage, and they do not have any solutions for the crowd control. Diggy is not available, but what is available is that Estes pick that Villaluna like to use to ensure that the backline is secure.
Philippines have found so much success based on the draft right here that you can see. They utilize the same draft actually up against Cambodia with a whole lot of emphasis on that range. But as predicted, that's the Beatrix for Brands in the gold lane. We saw a similar matchup yesterday, Arashi. Opi from Cambodia up against Soriano on that Leslie. It did not end up well. Did not end up really good at all for Opi yesterday. He was outlaned by a Leslie, which is, again, strange to see. This Leslie, that's usually so passive in the early game, having a tough time usually. On the hands of Soriano, it doesn't feel like he has a tough time. It feels like he's the lane bully.
You have to remember that there's a lot of roam potential in the Philippines as well. That is part of the reason why the leader in that Leslie, in the hands of Soriano, is so dominant. The backup, the assistance from his team has always been on point. And now, in the second draft banning phase, we see that Indonesia will take away that Estes pick as well. And as far as security is concerned, the Philippines are running out of options.
We saw how scary that Estes pick was for Villaluna up against Cambodia. So the respect given by both teams. Philippines also respecting Dreams on that Kadita. Again, I think throughout Season 10 and PLID, and even here in ISF, his Kadita is still sitting at a 100% win rate. Shows just how lethal he is on that hero, how he's able to maneuver around the map, playing around that vision to capture, to get a few catches on the board. But now Indonesia, will they decide to go for another ban towards Villaluna, like that signature Mathilda? Or will they choose to go just for a safe ban, maybe trying to take away some of the heroes from Del Rosario?
Well, if Del Rosario is in the conversation, it's just so flexible. He can go for the Barats, he can go for the Guinevere as well. Those two heroes have been preferred, but for Indonesia, they want to make sure that there is no safety for the backline of the Philippines, so they will ban out that Mathilda as you predict. And for the Philippines, is it going to be more engaged banned away, or is it going to be a signature hero? It's going to be that Leomord.
Leomord is a hero that, you know, right now is currently technically in the meta. It's one of the prio picks, but we've seen as, you know, the meta in ISF progress, that this Leomord pick is really has fallen out of that prio. Indonesia now the first pick in the second phase of the draft. They need a roamer and a jungler.
Martis? Martis is available if they want to actually abuse the crowd control immunity to take control of the early game. We've seen that Cambodia, I think, attempted it once. It did not work out for them, but Indonesia is not the same team.
Well, we'll see, right? Especially for Taz, he likes those assassins. Will Coach Zace give him those assassins? The answer is no. It's a utility hero in the jungle. That Akai, as Philippines, with no hesitation, picks up that Lolita for Villaluna. Up against the Beatrix, becomes a solid choice here. But the thing is, Rashi, there's a lot that can actually cancel that Numenor Blast from Indonesia. There's a lot of CC to play with.
And I think that's the exact reason why the Akai was picked. Being able to secure the backline, maybe zone away, and push away the pad up on that Benedetta with the heavy spin. That is an option they can play around with. And in those big fights, how dynamic Indonesia is, we have no idea if the Akai is going to be an engage tool or just a crowd control tool used to just make a mess out of the formations of the Philippines.
Now it's the jungler. The Barats was seen before. Now we're going to see the Fredrin. The most picked hero for Del Rosario here at ISF 2022. And now for Indonesia, what's left is just the roamer. At this point, they have a solid engage already. Good disengage with the Akai as well. They might actually want to double down on that cover, right? The peel pressure for the Beatrix, for the Yve to play it front to back.
If the Beatrix itemizes for DPS, I think he can match the damage out of the Leslie. Although in the late game, the true damage is the big main concern, as well as the fact that Soriano can act a bit of like an assassin and just snipe out the squishier members. So I think crowd control is still what Indonesia will try and go for. The answer will be that Franco, man. They want to make sure that they can get all the lead possible, but that's only if they can land those iron hooks.
There's a lot of mobility from Philippines, but Indonesia want to get that ball rolling from the start. Up against this team, both of the drafts have been set once again. Arashi, the first game.
Korban demam berdarah jutaan orang. Nyamuk demam berdarah adalah nyamuk siang hari. Oleh Sovel 2 kali, pagi dan sore. Nyamuk tidak bisa gigit lagi. Sovel, tolak nyamuk demam berdarah.
Well, Bali, Indonesia! The first game of the Grand Finals for ISF 2022 Mobile Legends with Philippines with their draft multi-dimensional, playing around the dive and even the front to back with their range, and Indonesia doing the same. Let's jump into the land of dawn for game number 1.
Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we are underway. Both junglers seem to be prioritizing clearing with that Demon Slayer emblem, but right now, it seems like Taz will be alone, and that will mean that he'll be clearing a lot less faster compared to Del Rosario.
Looking at both of the matchups here, well, the matchup in the mid lane, technically, it will definitely favor Imam and Villaluna on the Farsa and Lolita when it comes to clear, and especially when it comes to roaming around. Psychots is going to be the target here. Petrify used by Dapada already early on. Psychots going to be stunned up, and the instant first blood over to the Philippines before the first minute.
Level 2 roam, and this is the danger of that Farsa with the wings by wings. This is where Hijime on that lead cannot really match that speed, that rotating potential. With that lead, now that sets the tone for the EXP lane as Hijime gets taken very, very low. He needs to respect the burst potential.
You can see the curveball already from Philippines. Usually, if you take a look at their matches from yesterday even, they always rotate around that gold lane early on. We saw that Oppi was picked up against Soriano with the same kind of strat, with again Imam rotating with the wings by wings over to the gold lane. The curveball sent was, again, you think we're going to go to the gold lane, but we instead go to the XP lane. And that just kind of that was the moment where they were able to outsmart Indonesia early on. We'll see if this continues here, but both teams are opting to play it passively early on. They don't really want to look for anything too aggressive. But Del Rosario and Dapada already able to actually steal away a creep in the jungle from Taz.
Taz already slightly behind, but the retribution battle is where this Akai pick actually has advantage. In the mid lane, already pressure being exerted, knowing that the turtle needs to be contested. Taz is looking for a bit of intel, a bit of a momentum, and if Psychots can come in and participate here with his ultimate, that Black Dragon Clone is a big zoning tool, and it seems like the Philippines are opting to just let it go.
Mid control was won by Indonesia right now, but that's going to be the retribution from Taz to secure the turtle. Top side of yours bashed with a real world manipulation, and that's going to be Dreams quickly forward, finding Villaluna, picking up a double kill for the roamer from Indonesia.
What a turn of events right here. Letting go of the turtle, going for the topside play, but still falling short as Indonesia actually makes a play. Del Rosario is stuck in a 1v1, but it's a retribution battle, and actually Taz comes out on top.
Without the retribution, Taz plays it really well with that heavy spin. He was trying to buy time to get that retribution cooldown back, but he didn't need it. He was able to steal it away. Now, 2 minutes in, Arashi. Again, we need to talk about that. Indonesia opted to play around the turtle, getting the turtle onto their hands. Philippines opted to rotate, maybe even trade in the gold lane, but they weren't able to find any kills.
It's because they don't have a lot of combos, but look at here, Taz getting pushed down.
Gonna be taken down here by the damage from Imam. Del Rosario tanking a whole lot. Pops that Appraiser's Wrath. As Dreams is gonna be stunned up. They're looking for more right now. Dreams gonna be collapsed on as Tapada rotates as well. It's that ultimate bonding experience already in the 3rd minute. They're grouping up.
And it's that speed that the Philippines can use to outmaneuver Indonesia. When going gets tough and the combos come in from Indonesia, the Filipinos have speed in their hands and they are using it again in the top side. Unfortunately, France will not be targeted just yet. The waves, as you can see, is what is important here. If the Filipinos can use this wave pressure to actually roam around faster, it doesn't even matter if the Indonesians have superior engage.
I mean, you can take a look at the gold here. The fact that Indonesia were able to find that turtle, able to find a few kills, but still are equal in gold against Philippines shows that the Philippines have just been laning super well. And you can see in the XP lane with just a slight lead early on, the Tapada has just been able to rotate, has been more active across the map, providing so much pressure for his team.
That's why it's so interesting, man. Contrasting team compositions, yet coming out even due to the execution, due to the strategy being applied in this early game right here. And now with the turtle spawning up, both teams going. Iron Hood lands though.
On to Villaluna, who's going to be bursted down, but Advantage Rage. Psychots now coming in with a Electrify onto 2 members, stunning them up. But there's no further follow-up. It's the turtle traded in for a kill, 1 for 1.
And it's going to be very difficult for the Indonesians to catch Imam. He does have the Purify that saved his life in that engagement. Dreams is zoning Soriano away though, but the backup is coming down through. The Indonesians will be able to pick up the turret, but it does seem that the Philippines will not be able to find any compensation.
Both teams still trading back and forth. It's still such an even game in the 5th minute here, with both teams standing at literally equal gold. It's probably just 100 gold lead, but with Indonesia getting that turret in the gold lane, they will have a little bit more pressure to play with when it comes down to that wave manipulation.
They can push the waves further into the side of the Philippines. They can use the lack of vision in that top side as well. And as you can see, Dreams is already trying to find some opportunities in the top side of the jungle. But the Filipinos are rotating in that mid lane. They like doing this siege playstyle, and they can poke down any member from Indonesia. This early in the game, the resistances, the defensive items have not been completed just yet.
It's the signature Ube that we've all come to know. Villaluna, though, going aggressively onto Dreams, going to be stunned up, suppressed by the Bloody Hunt as Villaluna will fall here in the 5th minute. Indonesia using this Franco really well, looking for another pick towards Imam or Tapada. But it seems like it's just the battle for that mid-control.
And if this continues, the Filipinos will not have a member tanky enough to just serve as the scouting tool. Right here, the Philippines are still trying to clear the waves, look for the big pickoff. But if the Indonesians keep getting the upper hand like this, it's going to be very difficult for them to even get that vision necessary for them to set up those ambushes.
You know, I think Indonesia have been responding to the rotations from Philippines with a lot of class right here. You know, with Indonesia, again, utilizing Hijume to actually lane alone in the mid lane, just having Dreams to support him in the back. But the mid control will definitely be held down by the Philippines here with a clear. Now both teams rotating over to the turtle. 6 minutes in. Del Rosario with Philippines looking for it. Taz goes in for the heavy spin, but will be stunned up. Dreams now in the back, not going to be able to find anything, but it's going to be Psychots who finds the Petrify. It's another Petrify for the bottom. Now in a 1v5, it's Psychots who's going to be taken down. Both the XP laners falling down. Del Rosario going to be there in the front, but it's an amazing hook over from the side of Dreams. Del Rosario taken very low. The damage coming in to support that, but it will not be enough. It's just a 1-4-2. Indonesia again with a bit of a lead, but the turtle did go to the hands of Philippines.
Cuma emang
The Indonesians come out on top due to their superior crowd control, and this is what we're talking about. When the going gets tough, when everything is clumped up like that, the Indonesians have a bit of an advantage, at least until later on in the late game. For now, the Filipinos, they need to be very careful for that iron hook. Dreams has been very, very smart in waiting for the right opportunities. And we look at this fight right here, where both EXP laners are able to zone away their respective teams. But afterwards, the damage potential and this amazing hook from Dreams is able to get Indonesia that advantage in that fight.
There's so much pressure on the shoulders of Philippines. 1-0 down already. If Indonesia wins this, it's match point. They only need one more game after to secure the victory in this grand finals. So the pressure is on for Philippines as the Iron Hook will be cancelled out there by Villaluna. Now it's Indonesia who are looking to get that mid-turret.
Looking to get that mid-turret, and they have pressure on the side lanes as well. So the jungle is no longer safe for Del Rosario to start farming into. Without any tanks available, as we mentioned earlier, it's going to be very difficult. Brands with the Nibiru's passion, that's a lot of damage, but that's conversion coming in from the Philippines.
That's a taunt coming in. Hiju making to be bursted down by the pot up in the back with the help of the Feather Airstrike. A 1-for-0 right now. But Indonesia, they choose to back away, not wanting to go for a 4v5. 5 seconds for the Lord, and Philippines will need to go for this right now with a man advantage.
The adjustment coming in from the Philippines is so good right now. They are a team that wants to go front to back, but given the right circumstances, they understand that they can flank around and actually catch the back lines from the Indonesia off guard, but that is what Teams is able to do with the Iron Hook.
A beautiful feather airstrike there to save Villaluna, but now Psychos jumps in with the Black Dragon form, able to find a Petrify, taking the kill onto Villaluna. The pot up on the backs right now, jumping in. Brand still able to cut away. Taz dealing a whole lot right now as Del Rosario and Soriano are on to the Lord. Taz looking for the steal right now at the real world, but Blake will be able to find the two members immobilized. Taz versus Del Rosario as the pot up comes in. That's heavy spin, but the pot up finds the steal onto the Lord. Del Rosario now trying to back off with Taz as well. The pot up still coming in, providing that escape for Del Rosario. And Philippines come out on top.
They're on the back foot, but they find the fight that they require and dab it up with that Benedetta. Just so good, zoning everyone away and somehow, some way, securing that turtle as well. We'll see that the real manipulation has been fought by Hijumi here to zone the Filipinos away. But the meta doesn't care. He keeps going for it, and Del Rosario is able to occupy everyone else, and that dive advantage, that backline vulnerability is showing for the Indonesians.
It was super risky, Arashi. I feel like, again, they wanted to just chain their damage together. The pot up with the Phantom Slash and obviously the retribution from Del Rosario. It caught Taz off guard, but again, that was a risky move because if Taz had read that, they would have been able to find that kill onto the Lord. The pot up, again, just dealing out that damage. He's actually doing a lot here, poking even against Indonesia, where he should be just that backline threat.
He is able to literally burst down Brands to half HP in the beginning of every fight. And when you're that low against a Farsa, against a Leslie, it makes it very difficult for you to have any impact at all in these big team fights. And look at that. One ball from the Feather Airstrike is able to chunk Hijumi down to half HP. That is what the Indonesians are dealing with right now. And in contrast, Hijumi has finished his glowing wand, so the poke game, the DPS is higher, but if the Filipinos can get the burst early on, it won't matter.
The tides have turned. Now it's Philippines with the lead. More pressure to play with around that mid lane as well with the tier 1 taken down. Indonesia are going to find it extremely hard to actually contest for this mid control. Even though they have a lot of clear with their heroes, with the Eve and the Beatrix, obviously. It's still, again, Soriano, who's going to be able to open up the map. Taz going to be caught here. A lot of damage placed onto him. The Illuminati blast as well. Flicker forward. Taz gets out with a heavy spin. Philippines backing up, playing around still that bottom side river.
They made an aggressive play there, but the Lord is not up, so the Indonesians will be able to reset and wait for the next opportunity. But you can see the difference right here. The Filipinos are the ones setting up, waiting for an engage, waiting for a chance to just burst someone down from the side of the Indonesians. Unless the Indonesians can secure those defensive items, some physical and magical defense, it's going to be very difficult for them to even be in the picture for those neutral objective contests.
We're creeping in towards that late stage of the game. Let's talk a little bit about the draft, Arashi. Who has the edge when it comes to that late game for both Philippines and Indonesia?
In a weird way, it does seem very, very even, but of course, it depends on how the team fight goes. The Filipinos have true damage in their favor, and they have AoE, but
a pickoff in the top lane with Brands and Dreams finding a kill to the pot up, the man that's been such an impactful player around these neutral objective takes. And just like that, you can see Indonesia circling around the Enhanced Lord, looking for it, trying to commit onto it.
Without the pad up in the picture, the Indonesians can have an easier time. They might be using this Lord to just bait out some fights. Hijumi has the Ice Queen's wand, so if the Filipinos miss position, the Indonesians can definitely capitalize unless Hijumi almost gets taken out. And now the Indonesians pop the Black Dragon form.
Del Rosario on the flank right now, jumping in, looking for a steal. Hijumi finds it, secures it for Indonesia. As Villa Luna's Luna Blast is going to be cancelled out. Del Rosario falling. Indonesia turning the game again towards their favor. 13 minutes in with the Enhanced Lord and an amazing snipe from Brands to connect onto Imam. Dreams looking for the hook once again. Villa Luna not having the shield. It is just going to be Indonesia looking for a slow push with the Enhanced Lord. They do not want to overextend.
And in the long-range department here, Farsa and Leslie against a Beatrix and a Yve. It's a bit funny because both have burst damage, and DPS-wise though, I think the Indonesians have it. So if they play the prolonged long-range game, I think Hijumi might just be able to do a lot more damage than Imam. But of course, it depends on what the whole team wants to do. With the Lord approaching now, with the towers falling down consistently for the Indonesians, they're waiting for an opportunity. And this is where the Filipinos have a chance to go for that massive engage to try and turn things around.
Top lane, that's the Enhanced Lord marching down with the mid lane as well. Coming in, Indonesia looking for that three-way push. Dreams looking at the flank right there. With that pickup. A good feather airstrike for Zoni Jame away. As it's a beautiful micro-management from Team Philippines as they are able to defend, losing only one base turret right now. Dreams almost finding that hook, but will not be able to. Only one base turret falls in that skirmish, in that siege.
Discipline and the care that the Indonesians are using right now. They would usually go for an engage and perhaps go for a big fight, but they know against the Philippines, that could be the exact play that allows them to come back. If you take a look at the levels right now, Brands and Taz already at level 15, they definitely have a bit of an edge compared to the Filipinos, but soon, at about the 15 to 16 minute mark, it will no longer matter. The gold advantage will be moot because both teams will have a full inventory. It will no longer matter. The gold advantage
needs to be extremely disciplined when it comes down to opening the jungle up. You can see they're grouping up towards that purple buff for Del Rosario. Brands able to siege down that base turret in the bottom lane with the Renner. Now the mid lane base turret is all that is left. Some vision there provided by Philippines over to the bottom side jungle. But Indonesia will choose to play it disciplined, not wanting to go for anything too crazy, as we are going to take a look at the item check here in 15 minutes.
Well, Imam definitely has an abundance of damage right here. The Holy Crystal and the Divine Glaive penetrating the magical defense and also gaining a lot more magic power in the process. Along with that though, if you itemize for that magical damage, Soriano has a full inventory slot as well with the BOD. So if Brands gets chunked low enough, one hit is all it takes. And if he's out of range, the snipes are still an option as well. The Lord dance here from both these teams will decide how this game turns around.
We'll see again. Indonesia still holding on to that lead. Again, with the waves being manipulated as it is, slow pushing in the top lane and that bottom lane. Philippines will have to send a few members, or maybe just one member, to just stay in the base defending. Again, Indonesia will have a little bit of a man advantage here, forcing the errors to come through from Philippines as they look for the Enhanced Lord in the 16 minute. That's a hook again. Dreams reading it out well, but it's going to be the stun coming in from the Lord. Immortality popped in. Brands dodging away from Feather Airstrike. Del Rosario looking for the flanks right now. Is activating the heavy spin. And that's the Lord secured by Indonesia. Luna flies by. Luna cancelled out by Taj. Soriano, massive in the back line. Still able to find Psychots. Both teams, again, just trading Dreams with the concealed play. Looking for a hook. Del Rosario and the rest of the Philippines will be able to play around those mini waves to stop the hook from connecting. It's a 1-for-1. Lord for Psychots.
Lord for Psychots, and that is calculative gameplay coming in from the Indonesians. Knowing that the Padap is on the other side of the map, they go for that Lord play, and they were able to catch the Filipinos off guard. And now, look at the hook! Hitchman with the help of Brands, snipes them down! The bottom of the back line, the whole of damage back in from Brands, spraying them down with the help of the real world manipulation. Hitchman takes them down. It's a 3-4-0 for Indonesia. Del Rosario, they praise us Brands, 1v3, taunting Dreams up, but Brands will be able to melt him down. Soriano tagged down. It's a triple kill for Brands, and it's match point for Indonesia. What a fight by the Indonesians, knowing that they have an advantage, landing the hook at the right moment. Dreams on the Franco enables his team yet again, and the Filipinos are on the back foot right now. They need to adjust. What a start to the series, but it might be the beginning of the end for Philippines. It's match point, Arashi, we mentioned this. Losing here, it's a lot to take in. It's 2-1, 2-0 actually currently, because again of the +1 that Indonesia has for going through towards the grand finals from the upper brackets. It's a lot of mental pressure for the members from the Philippines, but of course, despite how experienced they are, it's still gonna be a huge load. But speaking of that, if you guys want to have an easier time when you're playing your own ranked games, what device, Mirko, could you recommend? Well, I wonder what it is, the device you see right in front of both me and Arashi.
Awas merek anti kumantangan. Di Amerika atau Singapura pun banyak yang dilarang. Yang ramah, Antis, wangi jasmine tea. Tangan tetap lembut, bisa langsung makan. Antis Food Grade.
The cheaper option, but still with wonderful specs. Galaxy A53 5G and the Galaxy A73 5G. Now, Arashi is the analyst. He knows a little bit more when it comes down to the specifications, so I'll hand it over to you, Arashi, for the specs right now.
Kalau bisa dibilang,
here, man, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage space, 120 refresh rate for that smooth gameplay, especially at the highest level of Mobile Legends. And of course, it's 5G ready, so say goodbye to your network problems. That's a thing of the past.
Kadang
Absolutely, right?
Karena Psychos ya agak blunder lah ya, ngebadanin, tapi kurangnya juga tadi nggak apa, kurang backup sih kalau gue bilang.
Team that can actually solve this big problem. The Farsa and the Leslie combo. It's been so devastating, but the Indonesians have found a way to break the code. But as we all know, the pattern is any team is able to break the code. It happens once, only once.
Villaluna has said this before. Philippines, this roster, the Blacklist International roster, they've never lost to the same team twice. Right now, they're a game away from Indonesia beating them for the second time. Highlights though, right now, we're gonna take a look at it. Arashi, match MVP, Brands, and yeah, we can give it over to him. That Renner shot in the end was the nail in the coffin.
And very solid decision on what weapon to use, the Nibiru or the Renner. And in the early game, you can see that the speed of the Filipinos are what they're weaponizing against the Indonesians. But later on, once the Indonesians have that tankiness, have that DPS to match that aggression, they are able to actually hold up their own against the Filipinos, and it all became a macro game. Who can get the engage first? Who can actually have control in the lanes? And with the higher tower priority from the Indonesians, they're able to have an inherent lead already. And afterwards, it's all about that engage, jumping on the right person, and Brands being chased around by Dapadap is still able to survive and actually do a lot of damage, heal up in the mid side. He's just so active on the map. And of course, Taz on the Retribution, very clean as well. overall, it just seems like the Indonesians have a lot more options to play around. And we already talked about how the Blast from Villaluna is massive, but it's also able to be countered by so many things in the hands of the Indonesians. The heavy spin, the petrify, the knockout from Taz right here, as you can see. Everything needs to be watched by the Filipinos, whereas for the Indonesians, they can be a lot wilder in how they want to approach these fights. And eventually, that X factor is what allows them to get the edge. And right here, it was just too much for the Filipinos.
I think that was the main concern for us as well on the caster desk when we saw that Lolita pick. That Numenau Blast becomes basically the most dangerous weapon coming from that Lolita, right? Obviously the shield as well to cover, but with that Iron Hook constantly being on point from Dreams, it's always Villaluna who needs to take it, right? And with that, Villaluna gets completely bursted down by everything from Indonesia. The damage is unreal, especially from Brands on the Beatrix in the late game. Take a look at his items.
Brands objektifnya dapat terus sih.
Towards the Malefic Roar
Makanya
with the
bisa,
VHS. Heavy emphasis on melting those frontliners down, and they did it. Indonesia played a very well front-to-back composition.
When the fight gets very, very long, yes, the Reverse Passion gets blocked by the board. But with those items, the basic attacks themselves will be enough, especially for 8 and 0. So Brands is definitely up there, and you can see that the gold per minute and the damage dealt is on his side as well. But alongside him is going to be Hijime on that Eve, man. It's very underrated. It's definitely one of the big issues for the Philippines, because especially when they're trying to contest for those for the neutral objectives like the Lord, they are forced to walk through that slow and take all that poke damage before the fight even begins.
The damage taken though by Del Rosario, 117,000. It's a lot of damage to take, man. He's the official sandbag of the game, but the player spotlight earlier on, and now the match MVP, Brands, 8-0 and 6. The way he was able to again maneuver around, kite back against the Benedetta. It's not a random Benedetta, Arashi. It's the Padup's Benedetta. It's Agent Zero.
He's against the Padup on the Benedetta. He's against Imam on that Farsa, using the feathered airstrike to try and snipe him down, and he's against the literal Filipino sniper in Soriano, trying to actually find ways to pick him off, and yet he has 0 deaths.
Come on.
0 and 6. A wonderful performance by Indonesia, and especially by Brands. Now, looking at Game 2. Arashi, we need to talk a little bit about the Philippines, but before that, we're going to head on to a break. Mirko and Rashi will be back in a bit. Don't go anywhere and stay tuned for Game 2.
Emang iya ya?
See the place where I was born. I was raised by the new dawn, and now I sit inside the storm. Like the eye of the pyramid, I know everything ahead. I'm in the hunt, don't you forget. Gotta work for it, every day work for it. Gotta work for it, every day work for it. I sing alone, can't get much higher. It's in my bones, love's true survivor. I sing alone, I keep on rising, up to the throne. I won't stop fighting, 'cause I stand alone.
Masih.
Turned off all the lights. They try to steal like a parasite, but they can't take away the fire.
Oh, kok friendly bot sih?
Cause I'm a wise as a bitter kid. Live my life hanging off the grid. No, I ain't never ever gonna quit.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Kamu masih bisa kok.
Welcome to the opening ceremony of Indonesia Esports Summit and IESF
Masih bisa kok, guys.
World Esports Championship Bali 2022.
Masih bisa kok. Oh, masih bisa kok. Tuh, tadi gua nggak bisa ya pas gua main ya. Tapi kagak. Skill satunya mau di nerf anjing. Ntar berapa menit sih? 2 menit. 2 menit lagi, guys.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to IESF 14 World.
Yang nge-live mana yang nge-live, kita cek. Si Gobo nih.
Saat mencari informasi terkini.
Mau Argentina lagi. Argentina tuh yang ada siapa? Messi.
Aku apa ya? Aku main Jerman.
Paredes. Nih, Messi kita jadiin kiper ya.
Messi jadi kiper, siap.
Coba, kayaknya Martinez kita kasih kesempatan untuk menjadi
Striker.
ya. Kasihlah orang kesempatan.
Messi
Aneh.
kiper loh. Iya. Kenapa enggak?
Let's go Messi.
Mana Messi mana?
Itu Messi di gawang. Ke Messi yang jadi kiper. Di gawang aku.
Oh, yang itu.
Iya.
Beneran kamu ganti?
Iya.
Oke. Ayo, Bu, cetak gol, Bu. Cetak, Bu. Bulet.
Let's go Messi.
Udah ya.
Udah sih, emang
bisa, guys.
Berarti bisa.
Ya, guys.
Teori Messi jadi gawang bisa. Messi, let's go Messi.
Bisa-bisanya loh.
Messi. No, let's go Messi. Itu let's go Messi. Jago banget Messi, let's go.
Wede, Messi beneran, guys.
Let's go
Martinez.
Iya, Martinez.
Lucu banget emang anjing. Masa iya Messi jadi kiper anjing? Bodoh banget. Aduh, lagi nggak ada yang live lagi. Oh, eating handcam. Oh, dia lagi makan. Oke, kita kembali lagi ya ke Grand Final.
Signing up for the rematch.
The body is coming onto him. Slow and also from Aries try to get away, but already taking so much damage away. Very big moment. One more hit token. Alright, all the bottom.
2-0 currently in the grand finals, best of 5. Indonesia leading the series. And for Philippines, it's their last chance. You can kind of say that here. They need to be able to take a game, to build again, to be able to equalize in the series.
Can they mount a reverse sweep when they are hanging by a single thread? It's such a difficult situation here, especially because their main weapon has just been solved, essentially, unless they have something in store that the Indonesians and us audiences have not seen before. That is what we've expected from the Philippines. We'll have to see if that is what they can bring to the table.
We've seen the Philippines come back from this kind of score before. Reverse sweeps, especially for this roster, they've been able to do it many times in the past. Now in this stage, representing their country.
Kami hadir untuk Anda, semakin kuat, berilah yang terbaik, wujudkan segala harapan. Bambi jerit tulisan utama, Bambi jerit berikan manfaat, Bambi jerit Jesma ruang, tanam mata untuk negeri, Bambi jerit.
And be very crafty with their rotations when Brands as well as Dreams were able to rotate around and get that surprise pickoff onto the pad up on the top side. It's stuff like that that just swings the game in balance of one of the teams.
So you think Philippines
Guys,
start to
lagi yuk.
stop going for these crazy skirmishes, maybe try to play it macro again, go for these objectives.
Lihat tuh VIP duduknya di situ, Cok. Kocak banget.
To again get that lead in the game.
I think they
Wah, Fanny nggak pernah dilepas ya, guys ya.
different looks, a bit of flexibility. will
Lalu
actually
di
allow
ban.
the
Kayak
Indonesians
mereka
to
takut
just get
sama
bewildered. Because right now, it seems like
Kayaknya
the
si
Indonesians know
Tas
exactly
deh.
what the Filipinos want to do, and it's the right moves, but the Indonesians can do the wrong move at the right time, and it will work in the right moment, in the right context. So for the Filipinos,
Tapi
if they're
jangan
able to
aja, saudara-saudara.
and
Kita pasti
expect the
bisa.
Indonesians to try and counter their quote-unquote
Dipejor
proper
nih, bagusnya Blackface aja. Aja.
But
Jadi
before
badut
even going
anjing.
to that step, we are back to the drafting phase, Mirko. Gigi and Benedetta. The pad-ups Benedetta is just a bit too difficult.
Tapi it's
too
okay,
annoying
guys, ya.
for the Indonesians to leave open.
It's now or never for Philippines as the draft begins. And
Man,
I agree with what you said
cancelin
earlier.
tuh
The Benedetta, even though Philippines lost in game 1,
Situnya siapa?
caught up on that Bene. My
Parsia sih,
goodness,
Parsia
even
Imam
though his
sih.
score, his stat line wasn't too impressive. What he was able to do, the impact he had on these team fights was the key to Philippines' victory. And because the pot-up was caught in that top lane, the Lord was given over to Indonesia. And Del Rosario had to fall as well in that skirmish. Again, it comes down to that pick-off game that Philippines needs to be aware of up against this Indonesian lineup that really likes going for the crazy pick-off strat.
Well, it's a crazy pick-off strat, but it's also the unexpected strat. And speaking of unexpected, Uranus? What?
That's the first Uranus ban in the first phase that we've seen in this tournament so far. We have seen it in the second phase,
Uranus.
but that is interesting, Arashi, to say the least. The Yi will be the first pick, though, for Indonesia. One of the key heroes that got them the victory. The Philippines will pick up the Kaja. Because Indonesia banned the Uranus out, that Kaja is left.
Oh ya,
on the
prioritas,
track. The only
Cok.
question now is, where
Iya
is
anjing.
this Kaja gonna go? Will
Prioritas,
Philippines opt
anjing.
to play this Kaja in the jungle, or perhaps that roam?
Or perhaps at mid lane as well. The hero is just so flexible in how he has wave clear, he has pick-off potential as well. Definitely in a role where he can roam across the map and just pick off people with a divine judgment. But one more pick here for the Philippines. Will they go for a gold laner or the mid lane? Another mid lane that will expose the fact that the Kaja will not be in that mid lane. The Farsa is the main arsenal, the main
Ito,
weapon
maawa
that
ya.
they're going to use. But now, it means
Kaya
that
maawa, Cok.
Leslie can still be contested.
Ooh. Now, if you're Indonesia, do you want to stay with what works? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Yi, the Beatrix, the Yuzong that we saw in game 1. Or do they want to change a little, right? Maybe go for the Leslie now, taking it away from
Enggak sih, kalau
Soriano.
Beatrix.
But if they do go for the Leslie,
Kaja, Cok.
Soriano and the Beatrix, man, that's also his signature pick. Indonesia decide, hey, we're gonna go for the Yuzong, but we're gonna change it up a bit with the Kadita.
Keluar ya guys ya kaditanya.
That is dangerous. Dreams on the Franco was already such a big issue. Dreams on the Kadira, all the way in the early game, able to just one-shot your roamers, because everyone who's tanky enough to withstand that damage won't have the items in the early game. So this is a lot of early game pressure, and the Philippines, they can go for that Mathilda if they really want to, but then, will they be lacking damage?
What Indonesia is saying with these picks is you can pick the Leslie, but you're not going to have a good time. That Yu Zhong was the answer to this crazy range-filled composition from Philippines. They will decide to go for a Lapu first. Again, both gold laners still being hidden by both Indonesia and Philippines. But I think Philippines know right now that if they go for the Leslie, if they go even for a Beatrix, it might be too risky. There's so much dive, and to add on to the dive from the Yuzong and the Kadira, with the Petrify, there's also that real-world manipulation from the Yve to lock these members in that area.
It's all down to who they focus down in the bigger team fights in the late stage of the game. For the Filipinos right now, they have a good dive, a good crowd control tool as well with the Bravest Fighter from the Lapu Lapu. Is that enough though? If they go up against in the late game against Indonesia in a 5v5, it still seems like the fight will be in favor of Indonesia, but that Beatrix will be banned away.
With Beatrix ban, at this point, I feel like Indonesia don't need to go for the Leslie ban, right? Knowing that the composition currently literally counters
Abu-abu
the
kuat
Leslie,
sih kalau
they
bisa
might actually be
Lapu-Lapu.
going for a ban
Dia bisa ngimbangin Yuzong lah.
still the gold lane, I believe, or the jungler. If they go for the gold lane.
Lawan Beatrix di ban oke.
Melissa is a good hero
Beatrix di
against
ban
dive
oke.
heroes, but right now it doesn't really seem like the ideal option. Another option for hiding away.
Kayak
is gonna
gua
be
feelingnya
Filipina.
Filipina ngambil ini
As
sih.
well, and this is why it's so difficult.
Ngambil
right now.
siapa?
We have no
Gwyn
idea
sih,
what is
Gwyn
going on
jungle,
through the
Cok.
heads
Feeling
of
gua
the
gitu sih.
coaches.
For me, I do agree with that. I do believe that the Irithel is the proper answer to this composition with the movement that she has. But that's another very interesting ban from Indonesia. We saw the Uranus, we questioned it. Now we're seeing the Granger. We saw this once. It was up against Slovenia.
It is a very specific composition as well. And Indonesia, maybe they want to force Wise, Del Rosario, into that defensive, very tanky hero so that they can limit the aggression coming in from the jungle. Maybe that is the main point, the main idea that they're going with right now.
Man, the question I have now is, what is the Philippines gonna ban? The gold laner, we saw the Beatrix, the Wan. If they want to shut the gold lane down, Brand's down, they want to go for another, but they instead ban out the Akai, which means that Philippines might actually be looking to play this
Granger
in the jungle, maybe, right?
Akai.
Honestly, at this point,
Oke.
I'm thinking, go crazy if you're Philippines. You got nothing to
Nih,
lose.
nih, nih,
You're
nih.
2-0
Jungle-nya si Wise ya kalau antara kalau nggak Minotaur, Gwyn jungle, Fredrin, tiga itu sih.
Guinevere will be a huge problem for
Tapi gue kurang tahu juga sih, siapa tahu dia
That's
tiba-tiba
about
pick
it, and it's
Baxia.
not exactly
Tapi
a
kalau Baxia nggak
good
mungkin.
method either. So for Indonesia right now, one final ban.
Kalau misalnya nih ya, kita lihat hero MM-nya Brands dulu sih. Menurut gue, kita lihat hero Brands-nya dulu. Udah di ban oke. Leslie lepas lagi loh Leslie. Filipina tahu deh kalau lawan Indonesia tuh nggak bisa pakai Leslie.
I think Indonesia, they won't hesitate at all by going
Kenapa
for the
pasti dia
Leslie
dimatiin,
here.
Cok?
Philippines will
Oh
go
masih
for the
pakai,
Leslie.
oke.
Up against so much
Berarti
time.
kalau
This is a risky move by Philippines.
It's a risky move, but
tapi Leslie covernya banyak, Cok. Ada Kaja, ada Lapu-Lapu. Oh, kayaknya Wise, ini hero-nya Wise di Kaja. Kaja jungle nggak sih? Iya, Cok, gue baru Berarti tinggal roamnya nih buat si Villa Luna ini nih, si Oh My Venus. Kalau Psychots Brands, dia kurang apa jungle sama MM ya. Melissa ada Leslie sama Parsha. Tapi kalau nggak pick Melissa, tuh kan bener anjing, baru gue bilang Melissa. Gue mikir tuh dari tadi Melissa MM-nya, soalnya pasti ditabrak sama Lapu-Lapu sama Kaja. Cuma yang gue takutin adalah dia tuh di Filipina ada hero Parsha sama Leslie. Jadi ultinya Melisa jadi kayak gak ada gunanya kan. Cuma kalau lawan lampu-lampu lawan Kaji sama Kaja tuh, itu udah nggak bisa dilawan si Melisa. Apalagi kalau udah late game ya. Ya Allah, cakep banget Pinoy satu ini. Oh, Baxia. Oh, kan bener. Udah gua duga juga. Baxia, coy.
Against the Philippines going with speed.
Oh, Baxia hyper coy. Ah, tuh gue cek gue, tapi bener sih tadi prediksi gue berarti.
The Philippines
Kaja Baxia ya.
Down 2 games, 2 points.
Tuh.
It's match point.
Untung dia pakai Melisa. Cuma kalau misalnya udah keburu ketabrak, Melisanya Brams udah nggak bisa ngapa-ngapain sih. Paling kalau misalnya covernya banyak, covernya oke dari side coach, Dreams dan sebagainya juga.
Bali, Indonesia, for both the Filipino supporters and the Indonesian supporters. Let me hear you.
Oke aja sih.
They're ready for the game, Arashi.
I mean, they must be. We are ready for the game as well. And just like that, Mirko, it's time.
The last chance begins now. Let's see if the Philippines can do it to put themselves on the board. It's Indonesia's Taz on the orange buff. Philippines Del Rosario starting on the purple.
Two petrifiers available for Indonesia to make plays around. And for the Philippines, it's all flickers, and it's still the Purify in the hands of Imam. But wait a minute, that's aggression in the early game.
Petrify being blocked in defensively by Dreams. Villaluna will take a bit of damage as well. But it's Philippines with, again, that early aggression.
They went for the early aggression, but with the thalassophobia, the blessing of the ocean, Dreams is just so much harder to pick off, and this is what they're trying to abuse right here. If the Filipinos want to go for those pickoffs early on, it's going to be very, very difficult because all the targets are either tanky, mobile, sustainable, or like Taz right here, he has crowd control immunity.
Looking at it right now, man, Imam,
so far so good, yeah.
He can actually get out of these crazy engages from Indonesia, especially from those petrifies. But when it's comboed together, they can actually just use it in a way where that purify becomes kind of, useless, right?
It's going to be a lot more difficult. I mean, for Indonesia, they have the option of just going on to Villaluna as well, and just like that,
buat ngecicil sih enak sih.
And you cannot get those pickoffs, your effectiveness, your usage is down so much. So right here, with the turtle spawning, aggression is being engaged by the Indonesians. And that Yeeve pick, man, it's a lot of damage and so much utility that is such a thorn in the side of the Philippines.
For both teams, again, they're playing it passively. But honestly, if we're looking at it right now, if the game is as slow tempo as it is in the first 2 minutes, it's definitely going to favor Philippines later on in the game. With the Farsa and that Leslie constantly scaling, Indonesia will find themselves outscaled in the later stages. They're going to have to look for more picks early on. They're going to have to build a snowball here in the first few neutral objectives.
If they don't snowball, it's going to be very difficult for Brands to solo carry. Yes, Melissa has a lot of damage, and yes, he has the Inspire, but right now Villaluna gets jumped on.
Nice.
Only the roamer right now is taking a whole lot of damage.
Okay, war. Segol pas saya. Aduh, sayang banget. Apa siapa sih? Oh, Purify. Mati dia. Tipis, cok.
Villaluna against Psychots and Todd was able to withstand, to sustain back up.
First blood. Nice.
Over to Taz.
Look at Psychos just sustaining through all that damage, and you can see the benefit that aggression brings to you. Imam was unable to do anything because he was instantly jumped on by Dreams. A roamer in his role, but still able to function like an assassin.
Man.
Tapi ini kalau late game bahaya juga sih.
Well, Rashi, we've seen this
kalau late game
a whole lot. Meanwhile, top side, Psychos.
Gila,
he gets a little bit more HP.
Peter dia main di pasifnya cok si Psychots.
Taz though.
Gue gak tau ya, soalnya kan kemana-mana dia bilang Psychots tuh payah lah, apalah dan sebagainya lah. Cuma gue belum tahu sih dia seburuk apa dan sebagus apa. Cuma update lah ya. Momennya dapat terus dia.
It's actually committing on to Dreams right now with Villaluna coming in. That's the rough waves popped by Dreams defensively just to get out of that situation.
Tapi everything is okay, guys.
Yeah. Has a lot more advantage, but this is how it's supposed to be. They have strong early game heroes, and they need to abuse it because even though they are winning, the longer the game goes, the more difficult it's gonna be. Right now, the Filipinos go for a dive, but it gets countered.
Real world manipulation. Imam so low. Still having that wings by wings. proper cover from the rest of the roster here for Team Philippines. Imam's got to be careful. He needs to back off. Hijume and Dreams already maneuvering themselves to pick up, to give some more space over to Brands to pick up the shield here. Imam going to be taken low.
Oh gila, dia berani banget. Oh tapi pinter banget anjing.
The Indonesian members. Dreams here going to be able to get out, but what a play. Imam staying.
Pinter cok, anjing.
Outplay above outplays here. We saw that Brands goes in aggressively.
Dia langsung pulang cok, berani lagi cok. Oh mungkin ada ulti kali ya, langsung. Jebret. Dream.
Some more momentum to work with, and the turtle is up. Will they contest right here, knowing that as far as heroes goes in the early game, they are at a disadvantage, and it seems like Indonesia might just let it go.
Better setup right now with a Divine Judgment as well, but bringing Taz out for the retribution to come through from Del Rosario to secure the second turtle of the game. It's Philippines who are able to withstand, and again, they're coming back, equalizing in gold.
They're equalizing in gold,
Oh,
but
berasa
the
dibikin kaya,
Indonesians
Cok.
have taken a lot of HP, and of course the gold shield from the bottom turret as well. That means Brands who have a lot more damage, and looking at the composition, there'll be some time here where the long-range burst will not be able to just deny him completely, and in those mid-game fights, that is where Brands will attempt to use that lead to try and take over the game.
We'll have to see again, right? The game is going very, very slow. Like we mentioned early on, Indonesia wants to get the ball rolling as fast as possible. In the later stages, they're going to have to rely heavily on that Yves and the Melissa. I think when it comes to this just consistent damage, it might actually favor Philippines. With Villaluna now running away, Dreams going in. That's a Petrify as well. A lot of damage placed in, a lot of resources spent as well. He's going to be dove on with Feather Airstrike, and Dabrab, who jumps in with a flicker, finding that kill. Brands now with the goal away, still able to try to ban, but with that stun, picking up a double kill for Philippines. Even Soriano getting out. Taz now in the midst, still able to escape. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Philippines.
The Philippines definitely come out on top here, taking out the gold lane and the mid lane at the same time. They were just a bit too aggressive from Indonesia, and they get flanked out. And against Baxia, if he is behind you guys, that's going to be so difficult to deal with. Soriano instantly equalized the situation. Let's take a look at that replay. Instantly engaging onto Villaluna, but as a result, Hijume gets jumped on. He pops the real-world manipulation to try and buy a bit more time, but even Brands gets taken out right here. And you can see that in a messy fight, both teams can come out on top, but wait a minute, Brands is out of the game.
Brands mau dimatiin lagi nih.
Again, playing around that gold lane. Dreams though, again, this is getting personal. Another engage onto Villaluna, who's able to
dapat cok, jangan kek aja cok.
All to distract from the turtles.
Leslie.
Onto it. With a man advantage, Philippines will look to try to commit onto this. It's a contest right now with Zablab coming in.
Oh, nice.
Finds it, securing the turtle. Imam still able to get out with wings by wings. Psychop disengaging with the help of Dreams. Philippines not going to go for it. As well as Indonesia, both teams, they just decide to back off and to rebuild.
Indonesia is still ahead right here. They were able to steal that turtle as well. But as we mentioned, the clock is ticking, and they keep trying to go for engages onto Villaluna, and it hasn't been really working out as intended. And the Filipinos are definitely still not as behind as the Indonesians would want them to be.
7 minutes in. Only a 1,000 gold lead here for Indonesia. Even less, actually. That's 700 around. Conceal play going to be popped in now. Villaluna looking for the play. Brands able to spot them out, canceling that conceal. As Taz disengages. Philippines are trying their best to, again, get some pressure back into the enemy jungle in that gold lane. They have an advantage when it comes to that pressure because of the tier 1 in that bottom side, but they have to be very careful around that top lane. Look at how Indonesia are playing around that.
Right now, Imam does not have the Lightning Truncheon as well. So once that item is completed, that's a lot more wave clear, a lot more burst damage that the Filipinos can play with. Right here, Dreams is serving as an assassin, trying to make a play, most likely. But we'll have to see if the Filipinos fall for it. The neutral objectives are not up right here, so both teams have time to try and make creative plays of their own.
It's all about the setup again, right? Mid-control, pushing into waves. Again, just building this little lead with manipulating the waves, by manipulating the waves, as they're also going to play around the vision. They're going to play around the bushes right now to look for these crazy ambushes. But honestly, if they play this way, Arashi, I do feel like, again, Indonesia might have a little bit of a lead when it comes down to just that pick-off. There's a lot of map openers though for Philippines to get that vision down. Dream's gonna be zoned down. That's the Lord against spawning in. Whoa!
Inisiasi itu si Edward.
Over in that topside river. That's a massive resource burnt out before the Lord fight.
The Filipinos are applying the Indonesian strategy of taking out your engage tool before you can engage on them. So Dreams is definitely one of the main heroes they are looking to pick off. But look at this play though. The Filipinos already showing different looks, being a lot more aggressive. We saw that they usually kite back, but in the first few fights here, they're actually diving into the backline, ensuring that Hijume and Brands get taken out, even if the frontliners are able to dive towards their own backline.
Winning conditions for both teams. For Philippines, they need to play this team fight with Depada jumping into that back line. Again, he needs to be the distraction towards the Yves, towards the Melissa. But for Indonesia, they need to just dive straight onto the Leslie and the Farsa. It becomes really, really interesting now in the mid-stage of the game with the Lord spawn in, as Indonesia will have more control here. Philippines looking to, again, still find this position. They're still trying to contest it, Arashi.
And right now, even though Indonesia wants to go for pickoff, even though it seems like they know that they have a numbers advantage here, you can see that everyone's playing so patiently, trying to figure out if this is a trap, if there's any flanks coming through. And for Indonesia, it's a slow approach. But
lihat apakah, oh udah mulai di-commit nih guys ya. Udah mulai di-commit nih guys ya. Udah diincar tuh berasnya. Anjing, kalah Tristo. Pelangin. Aduh.
Del Rosario canceling out the real world manipulation, and Philippines are back. They are
udah mulai di-commit loh, padahal setan hampir aja. Tapi gak apa-apa guys, Nasrai banget itu ya guys ya.
And now with the Lord pushing and empowering the waves, the Indonesians are on the back foot. They do have long range damage.
Tinggal jadiin Bras doang nih, sumpah Bras masih level 10 cok, nggak main cok dia.
And it's being used so often and so aggressively by Imam.
That feather airstrike again. Such a problem for Indonesia to deal with right now. As with the bottom lane, they are going to look for some sieges. Soriano already in that bottom lane with the support, with the vision provided by Depada and Villaluna. They're looking to siege down some more. But it's, again, just Indonesia who are opting to give this bottom lane tier 2 up for the Philippines. In the mid lane as well, they're looking for it right now. Del Rosario is able to find the shield unity. And the instant follow-up coming in from Soriano and Imam to pick it up. Now it's the mid lane tier 2. Philippines are doing super well in the siege. Every single turret falling now, as that's perfect setup again for the top lane tier 2. The feather airstrike taking away a whole lot of HP from Hijume.
For now, Indonesia, they have
Jadiin Brans dulu cok, Brans nggak main dari tadi cok.
Engage. In game number 1, every time they figure out that the fight is on, they can just go and they can catch the members of the Philippines. It's reverse this time.
That's the divine judgment. Taz instantly bursted down. The real world inflation not finding the range. But Saika finds the
oh shit!
It's a 1-for-1 now. Indonesia find one more range. Jumps in, almost finding more. But it's a beautiful disengage from Philippines. A beautiful read by the members, both using the flicker and the purify.
That was such a tense situation for the Philippines. That could have been disaster. They were clumped up together to avoid getting picked off. But against a Kadira, against a Yutong, you need to have proper spacing. Right here, 3-man Petrify from Psychos was able to start it off for Indonesia, and the follow-up from Dreams nearly sealed the deal. Fortunately for the Philippines though, they're able to escape with their lives, and now it's back to that slow-paced gameplay. Who will make the first move?
Solid reaction time for both Soriano and Imam. The positioning as well was absolutely perfect. And now, Arashi, we're creeping into that late game with the items here. Oh, it's a beautiful engage by Depada over towards Dreams. Psychos looking for some more. Doesn't have the Petrify. Soriano still able to kite away with the help of Imam. Psychos jumping in.
Anjir, mati dong.
Back. Del Rosario taken down. Soriano finding the kill. It's a 2-for-1 again in favor of Philippines.
Jadiin Bransnya dulu. Brans jadi enak kita.
Finding intelligence and still surviving.
Tapi bawa naik terus sih.
Understand that he has limited mobility. Every time his movement abilities have been used up, they just jump on him and they completely punish Dreams and shut him down.
Okay, nice bawa dapat.
Is not the score he needs
dapat ya guys ya.
to be the threat for the back line.
That's the downside of not having a flicker. That's the downside of going.
Kalau mau komit, terus Hario mati, si Wise.
Glass cannon, you cannot take those crazy engages that the Philippines have been able to force. But now, again, it's the real world.
Gila. Anjing.
And the retribution goes.
Oh, dapat itu Beto. Balik. Oh iyalah, bukan imun ya, lupa gua.
The Philippines here are absolutely styling, but the Lord was given over to
Indonesia
with only dreams and psychos
ultinya
left to
Melissa.
defend. It seems Philippines want to look for the
Oh, mau di end ini.
15 seconds for Brands to respawn right here.
Iya, mau di end ini, aduh.
They might just go for the 4v2 team fight. Psychos goes in.
Tanahnya sih 2 detik 3 detik lah, lumayan.
Petrify is available, but it doesn't seem like he will commit on a play like this.
Furious dive defensively.
Oh gila, Dreams gila banget Dreams. Mati, nice. Apa-apa, Ninja jelek.
It's the enhanced Lord marching down with Imam forcing that further airstrike to clear it out. It's Philippines again, only able to find that base turn in the mid lane. That's the Furious dive again on Luna, knocking Soriano in the back lines, but it's gonna be Brad who's massive with the go away, dealing out a whole lot of damage.
Lagi.
In so much in the front line. Soriano still in the midst, again dealing the true damage on towards the Indonesian members. Running back, taking low.
Wah gila, tipis banget cok.
A 1-for-1 in the end.
A very good try by the Indonesians, trying to make sure that with the Lord,
wah hampir aja cok.
the recalls and go for a fight when the Filipinos are
Nastra, gila nih warnanya keren banget sih.
Villa Luna is in the front, they go with the Furious dive from Psychots, and Brands was positioning so well, but the pad up does so much damage. He is an absolute menace towards the
coba kalau dia inspire enak itu.
Cetak. Martis is just a damage sponge for Soriano. The true damage is so dangerous and so difficult to deal with.
Well, we'll see right now. They're going to be spotted again. That's why Leslie becomes so prio right now. But you can already see with the real world manipulation popped in. That's going to be Dreams looking for the backline. Imam with a beautiful dodge and the Purify to get out. It's just the mid lane tier 1 taken down. Del
Anjing,
Rosario
Baxia nge-flankingnya cok.
as well as the Tortoise's Poissons. He's looking for an engage, but it will not happen for Philippines as Indonesia read it out. They back off, and it's back to that slow tempo setup game, that macro level gameplay again as we take a look at the items.
Imam has the Holy Crystal on top of the Lightning Trenchant Clock of Destiny combo, and with a Winter Trenchant, that is just double security because of course Imam understands he is an important tool for the Philippines.
Oh, majuin atas terus sih.
Having the Genius Wand and the Divine Glaive
naikin atas.
starts to do a lot more damage than the Philippines can afford to take. If the fight actually goes in favor of the Indonesians, that is definitely one of the core factors, as right now, the Lord will spawn while
naikin atas.
does not have a Purify. So that is a
naikin yang paling jauh dulu sih.
factor that the Indonesians can count on if they want to engage, because both Petrifies from Indonesia are still available.
9 seconds for the Enhanced Lord. Still, it's an Enhanced Lord. Not yet that Evolved Lord. It spawns in the 18th minute of the game. But I do feel like it's going to be both teams looking for that Evolved Lord. Both teams will just try to dance around the Lord, play with the waves in the side lanes, and again, just force a mistake from one another. Right now, it does feel like Philippines have more control over the Lord pit. With the pod up on that top lane this time, he's playing very carefully, Arashi, because of what happened last game. But now it's going to be the Black Dragon form.
The flicker dia.
Nice! Soriano with that dreams. That's a shutdown. Villa Luna falling to the hands of Hijime.
Lord. Hey, objective. Lord.
In that mid lane. Del Rosario gonna look for an opening right now, as that's Philippines.
Lord. Mereka atasnya naik kok. Mereka atasnya jelek kok. Minenya jelek.
Go for the Lord still if they really want to. It's going to be forced to be a 50-50 though. No Petrifies available for the Indonesians, but the Filipinos, it seems like they do not want to risk it. They know that they have options to play around with, so they can
free Lord lah, nice. Mantap.
It's a free Lord given over to Indonesia. Still an Enhanced Lord. I think it was a wise decision by Philippines to look just to recall, to back off, to not commit, and to play around that Leslie and the Farsa now as we have entered that late stage.
We have entered that late stage, and now Indonesia with the Lord in tow. They can go for a dive, for aggressive maneuvers, while the Philippines are forced to adjust and adapt to the fact that the waves are going to be pushing. Indonesia is going for those pickoffs though, waiting for flanks available, and if the Filipinos misstep here, it could be dangerous.
No room for mistakes Taz jumping in, bringing Del Rosario.
Pelan-pelan ya. Nice, dapat 3, Cok.
It's comboed in.
Nice.
Soriano finds the kill. Taz gonna go massive on the back line.
And.
The same with the Raven Fighter on the 3. He does so much. He turns the tide.
Whoa.
Getting petrified.
Anjing, super Cok.
Tapada versus the world in the back line. It's gonna be Imam falling. Del Rosario trying to save the game.
Cok, balik sih tapi anjing masih bisa dia. Berasa masih bisa berasa. Wah, gila gak di end dong. Nggak bisa, Cok.
All ends up in a 3-4-3 for both these teams.
Gila.
But the Indonesians have taken all the base turrets from the Filipinos.
Cover terus beransnya sih kalau mau end mah.
Dash timers though. 37 seconds on Taz, 25 seconds on Hijime right now. The Filipinos have a window where they have more members, but just take a look at that previous fight. Look at the engage. It just starts everything up for the Indonesians. And there's just not enough damage coming in from the Filipinos. They were not set up for this fight. And of course, Dreams comes in from the side. And it was sketchy. Everyone was so low. But fortunately for both these teams, 2 to 3 members were still able to survive. Hijumi now picks up that brute force breastplate as well, so it's going to be a lot more tanky against the pad up as well as Soriano. But the stolen
gila seru banget ini. Udah menit 20 loh. Udah involve ini Lord ini.
The Indonesians have a lot more macro options to explore.
The pad-up is making miracles happen.
Oke, gila di commit, Cok, mantap.
The real world manipulation. The Queen has fallen in the 20th minute of the game. Philippines down 4v5. This is the moment again for Indonesia to look for either siege or to play around that evolved Lord, with Villaluna spawning back in 26 seconds.
It's a massive wave in the bottom side, but the Indonesians opt to go for control, for setup in the Lord pit. The Filipinos
naikin terus bawahnya, Cok. Oh, nggak ada yang bawahnya, naik terus kok.
Until their main engage tool, their main pickup
is
actually on the map.
Wah, tapi lapo-laponya gila sih. 7.04 si Edward. Kuat banget anjing. Awas di flanking sih. Wah, gila bener si komit anjing. Nice, selesainya mati. Tapi kalah Uco. Jangan. Wah, gila.
Nice. Clearing out the waves, and it feels like Indonesia will still have more pressure to play with around the Lord. Villaluna looking to play right now, jumping in again, gonna be knocked up.
Bawahnya naik situ.
Here is dive by Psychos. The retribution battle. Del Rosario coming in.
Anjing. Bisa ya, Cok.
Philippines are in this game.
Wah, gila.
With a steal. Villaluna saving the game from the brink of defeat, and the Indonesians are once again
gagal, Cok.
Play around this Lord. The miracles happening for Philippines.
Wah, anjing ini seru sih.
2 members down. The Queen is still able to save the Philippines with the evolved Lord take. And now it's Soriano with the pad-up spawning in. They might actually be able to capitalize on the fact.
Kena N ini Indo, tapi nggak tahu sih.
So the Filipinos needs to be very careful.
Nih, tas mulai offset banget ini.
Dreams already waiting for an opportunity, but look at this kite back. Look at
Commit, nice.
Gonna be popped in. That's Psychos again, looking for the back line. Soriano gonna be petrified, still able to run away right now, but it's gonna be Soriano.
Nice.
Taken down. Dreams picking up an unstoppable. Del Rosario
dapat dua. Warin.
Line, but Dreams will not fall. It's a 2-0.
Mid bisa itu mid.
Looking for the end.
48 seconds for Soriano to spawn.
Gak bisa end sih.
But the Filipinos have shown that they can weather this kind of storm. Indonesia making a play with the mid wave, looking for an opportunity right here. Can the Filipinos clear it out?
Imam spawning back
in. Naikin bawah sih. Tapi bawah naik sih.
Del Rosario still getting in. Dreams jumping into the back line. Imam still going to be able to dish it out right now. The base is wide open, but there are no minion waves to play with for Indonesia. As Philippines.
Wah, gila. Kan dibilang naikin bawah. Atasnya, Cok. Atasnya, Cok.
Clear the wave, and Imam was able to survive from the dive of Dreams. And instead, the Indonesians are now down their roamer for 48 seconds. That is not how they wanted this game to go. In 76 seconds, the next Lord, yet again, will be contested, and we have a game on our hands, ladies and gentlemen.
Bali, Indonesia, they're all up on their feet. This is a game to watch. My goodness, Arashi. Let's slow the tempo down. Let's talk about the items, man.
At this point, everyone has items, but the pad up knows that he is, right at this point, a damage dealer. They do not need to withstand damage. They need to make sure that Dreams, that Brands, the main damage dealers from the side of the Indonesians get shut down.
Kebuka dong.
Oh,
Psychots
Psychots
tadi.
can get caught there. His immortality is going to be down. Dreams is still dead. 60 seconds on the death timers. 24 minutes in. What do Philippines do?
They have a chance to go for the
Wah,
air.
iya, kena end nih
waves
kayaknya.
are not
Tapi nggak tahu
pushing in
sih.
because the base turrets are still available. But if Villa Luna can get a huge pickup, there is potential.
Soriano tuh
And it
ngebuka
seems
mulu,
like
anjing.
the Filipinos
Oh,
recognize
anjing,
it. They're
debek
going
apaan,
for it, very
Cok?
careful about Dreams, trying to go for the back door, the flank.
So much poke being dished out. Hijime taking a half HP with Brands and Taz. Philippines, again, waiting for the next mini wave, but it will not be coming in fast. It's still in the base, marching, walking down. Del Rosario in the front still. They're all protecting the back line. Soriano and Imam, these are the two winning conditions.
Imo sih, harus Imo nih Bras nih.
Cleared enough waves to look for the Lord now, and that's what they're gonna do. Rotating over towards the
Naikin,
bottom side river.
naikin atas aja, naikin
Outside,
atas.
though, the wave is pushing in favor
Atas
of
mereka
the
jadi kok.
Indonesians. So if the Indonesians want to play the long game, they have an advantage, and the Filipinos will be the ones forced to make a move. But look at this maneuver here. The Indonesians are splitting apart.
How do they deal with this right now? The pot up sent to the base again to clear out the waves.
Bawah juga naik itu.
Playing around the lower. Del Rosario jumping with the shield unity. And it seems like Philippines are looking towards that topside river with Imam opening it up. They've spotted Dreams and Brands, and they have stopped that split push threat from happening.
And they are not clearing the wave in the middle side
Ah,
as well.
nggak bisa ngelawat mereka dari tadi tuh.
And in this situation, it does seem like the proactive maneuvers are available for the Indonesians. Can they dive towards that back line? Will the back line, Soriano and Imam, be able to survive from the aggression? Because if they do, that is a huge problem for the Indonesians, but that is a massive if.
Even with Flicker, even with Purify, they sometimes still struggle because of the sheer amount of CC and the sheer amount of dive from Indonesia. We'll see how they try to face off against Indonesia here. It's a brilliant feather airstrike by Imam, taking a whole lot of HP from Hijime. And that might just be the little victory that Philippines need to, again, take control of that mid lane.
Kalau baca lah, lapu kalau udah late game udah nggak ada damage anjing.
That is the advantage the Filipinos
Kalau
have.
itu
First damage,
susah.
but they might have spotted a Indonesian member in the top side here. They make a play for it.
Oh,
and
gila,
it
Dreams
won't
dicari
be
terus loh.
enough. The Indonesians are still on the board, still waiting for a chance to make a play. But this is macro territory, and the Indonesians, the top wave, is just pushing again and again in their favor, making it such a headache for the Filipinos.
This is the advantage you have when you get that base turret in that top lane. Those side lanes are constantly pushing in.
Oh, oke.
Now looking for
Udah di commit ya, guys, ya. Leslie ya, Cok.
Judgment. Del Rosario security.
Aduh, gila tadi loh.
Flickers out. Dreams and Psychos baited. And that was the pot up who jumps in. Villa Luna soaking a whole lot of damage right now. Soriano backs away. Villa Luna
minutnya,
losing
Cok.
the immortality as he's going to be dove off.
Nice.
He's gonna be
Balik.
traded in for the roamer.
The Evolve Lord in favor of the Philippines, but it's 55 seconds on their main utility tool, their main catch opportunity. We saw
gila,
this
seru
in
banget.
the previous Lord.
Mantap
Take.
aja.
Will the Indonesians still be able to outmaneuver, outplay?
Si Oh My Venus pakai kayaknya kurang sih.
Mom goes for the shadow power smash.
Dia healer sih.
The pot up again, zoning the other members away.
Bro, hero.
For that, but keeping knocked up. Now is the real world manipulation by Hijime.
Oh!
To the back line. Soriano losing
Nice!
immortality. Gonna take him down as well.
And-
Dreams. Imam now gonna be targeted by Psychos, who jumps in with the fierce dive, who jumps in with the damage. Imam with the feather airstrike, losing the immortality. Del Rosario needs to help him out, but he can't do it. The winner Truncheon was baited out. Indonesia with a 4-man advantage.
There was alone right here. There is 1 minion he can clear, but the next wave is coming out.
Nice.
It seems like
On this day, a revolution begun.
Juara,
The
boy.
monarchs have fallen, and Indonesia have won your ISF 2022 MLB
Gila, akhirnya.
World Champions are Indonesia.
And the crowd explodes. This is a great moment for Indonesia. What a performance, shutting down the dominant team in the Philippines. Wow.
What a stunning performance. A 3-0 up against the Philippines. In the beginning of the tournament, so many doubts.
Gila,
So
gila.
much hate towards this roster.
Keren sih, keren.
But they proved the world wrong. This is a new lineup for Indonesia. This young blood, full of talent, full of hunger. And this, out of all the rosters, is the one to be able to defeat the Philippines.
To defeat Blacklist twice, that is an amazing feat and emotions run high in the Indonesian team. What a moment. But Mirko,
we're gonna throw it back to our hosts for the winning ceremony for ISF 2022 MLBB. Take it away, hosts.
Once again, give it up to Indonesia!
Yeah! Indonesia finally able to win this match, the grand final of Mobile Legends Bang Bang!
Yeah! And please welcome the champion of Mobile Legends Bang Bang!
Indonesia!
Give it up to Indonesia!
Come on guys, come forward! Come forward! Come forward! Everyone come forward! And this is the winner of Mobile Legends ISF 14 World Esports Championship Bali 2022! Give it up
Gila, gila.
Indonesia! Wow! Wow! What a tear-shaking moment right now! Team Indonesia, once again guys, give them a round of applause!
Siapa kita? Siapa kita? Louder!
Kelas.
Yeay!
Ini monster gila juga ini.
This is your champion, Indonesia! And right now, we are gonna see the MVP for this battle. And the MVP goes to...
Oh, Dreams anjing. Gila, GG.
Congratulations, Dreams! And also, nice try, nice fight, Team Philippines.
Yeah.
You have done your best, but we have our winner, Team Indonesia!
Now we are going to do the celebration to the winner as we count in 3, 2, 1, raise the trophy!
Wow!
Once again, congratulations to Indonesia as the champion of Mobile Legends Bang Bang in ISF 14 World Esports Championship Bali 2021.
This is Indonesia!
Indo Pride, give some noise!
Kelas boy, kelas. Aduh.
All right, we're gonna have a chit chat.
Yes. Okay, no worries. Once again, congratulations to Indonesia. And before we do the celebration again, I would like to give some question. But ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to do it in bahasa. Bro, congratulations. Baris dulu Besti. Ya, boleh ke sana.
Wow.
Nah, Jadi, jujur Li, kita semua pada tegang setuju? Setuju banget ya Besti? Wow, dan akhirnya kamu menjadi juara nih hari ini.
Gila sih, gila sih.
Sebenarnya, ya kan sebelumnya kan memang pernah ketemu Philippines, ya kan? Maksudnya kayak lo sekarang ternyata menjadi pemenang gitu loh. Kira-kira gimana perasaannya dan mungkin apa gitu yang pengen disampaikan untuk semua yang mendukung kalian?
Yang pasti udah pasti seneng karena buat kita semua kan wakili Indonesia ya. Dan pastinya makasih juga buat teman-teman semua yang datang maupun yang nonton online. Udah nge-support kita sampai bisa juara gini. Makasih banget semuanya.
Kelas boy.
Thank you they say. They are very proud representing Indonesia and also thank you for those supports and the fans who supporting Indonesia once again.
Ya, congratulations once again. Tapi sebelumnya nih mungkin ada nggak sih yang pengen lu sampaikan gitu untuk teman-teman atau mungkin keluarga? Karena ini mengharumkan nama bangsa Indonesia, lo setuju nggak?
Anything you guys want to say to the fans, please?
Yang pasti semoga doakan aja e-sport Indonesia ke depannya makin berkembang. Gak cuma dari game Mobile Legends, dari semua game pun. Semoga Indonesia bisa berprestasi di kancah dunia.
Wow! They're able to win in the world stage and they say this is the victory, the best victory.
Right.
And one more time maybe. What do you guys, what the best moment you guys ever had in this tournament?
Yes.
Kalau momen paling ingat yang pasti momen kemenangan kita barusan di Grand Final. Karena mungkin buat kita semua baru pertama kali main di panggung gede, masuk final dan langsung juara, apalagi wakilin Indo ya. Jadi yang pasti kita itu momen jadi yang gak terlupakan sih buat kita semua.
Oke.
Wow, cool. This is the first time they ever win in this huge stage with a lot of fans right now. And once again, thank you guys and give the round of applause for Indonesia.
Kelas boy. Kita beda live stream kali ya.